Welcome to the Deep Dive. Okay, today we're tackling something I think everyone struggles with at some point. The vocabulary crunch. You know that feeling, right? You're trying to say something specific, make a really nuanced point, and poof, the word's just gone.
Yeah.
Or maybe you've been ambitious, you download one of those prep guides and see, like, 1,000 GRE words you're supposed to learn in 60 days.
No.
It's enough to make you just want to close the book immediately.
Oh, definitely. That experience, the sheer overwhelm of the huge list, it really points to the basic problem with how most of us, learn vocabulary. We tend to treat it like data entry, right?
Right.
Cram it in, maybe pass a test, and then it's gone. So our mission today is to flip that script. We've looked at some great sources and pulled out 5 really practical methods, plus the key psychology behind them. The goal is to help you shift from that short-term cramming to genuine long-term usage,
Okay.
and quickly too.
Okay, so before we jump into the specific methods, you mentioned there's one core principle we absolutely have to understand first.
Yeah.
It sort of underpins everything else.
Exactly. It's the foundation. It's called the self-reference effect.
Self-reference effect.
Yeah, it's a well-known concept in cognitive science. Basically, our brains are wired to remember things better when they relate directly to us, to you. If something connects to your own memories, your experiences, maybe your goals, your brain flags it. Says, hey, this is important, makes it much easier to recall later.
Right. So it's not enough to just learn a word like, say, ephemeral in its definition, lasting for a very short time. I need to connect it to me.
Precisely. Don't just rely on the dictionary example. You need to create your own sentence. Something like, wow, the motivation I had to clean my apartment yesterday was totally ephemeral. Or maybe my New Year's resolutions, they tend to be pretty ephemeral.
Yeah.
See, by linking it to something personal, maybe a feeling or a funny observation about yourself, you give your brain a solid hook. Without that personal anchor, the word just stays abstract, floats away.
Okay, that makes sense. Make it personal. But let's back up to the very beginning. When you first meet a new word, like in a book or a movie, the usual advice is just write down every single new word you see. But you're saying that might actually be bad advice.
Oh, it's often terrible advice. It's a fast track to just, hating the process. Think about it. If you're stopping a movie every 30 seconds or pausing your reading every couple of sentences, you completely lose the enjoyment. The learning becomes a chore, and you disconnect from the story or the argument, which is often where the real context lies. You really have to stop trying to write everything down.
Okay, so be selective. Protect the enjoyment, protect the flow. What's the rule then? How do you decide which words actually make the cut?
There are basically 2 main triggers. Rule 1, does the word massively impact your understanding? Like, if you don't get this word, the whole sentence is meaningless. Okay, grab that one. Rule 2 is often even more useful. Is this a word you've seen or heard a few times before, but you still don't really know what it means? Maybe you saw it in an article last week, heard it on a podcast. If it keeps popping up, that's a high-frequency, high-value word for you. Worth grabbing. You could just keep a quick note on your phone, maybe title it New Vocab, and jot them down selectively.
That's much more manageable. Respects the experience, but still captures the important stuff. And related to this, you mentioned the source material itself. Someone felt overwhelmed by a book like Sapiens. Choosing the right material seems crucial too.
Absolutely. If you're hitting like 10 unknown words on every single page, your brain is just overloaded. Cognitive load is too high. All your energy goes into just decoding, not actually understanding or remembering. You're kind of setting yourself up to feel discouraged. The sources suggested maybe starting with something a bit more accessible, like the subtle art of not giving effect was mentioned. Still smart vocabulary, but maybe not quite as dense or specialized.
Right, find that sweet spot. Challenging, but not defeating. And okay, one more quick thing on the physical act of writing. This was fascinating. If you do write a word down, apparently using a pencil is better for memory than a pen.
Yeah, it's a small thing, but interesting. A bit of a neurohack. The thinking is maybe it's about the sensory feedback, the slight difference in friction, maybe the graphite. It engages the fine motor system slightly differently than smooth ink. Might help just cement that memory trace a little better. Worth trying anyway.
Okay, so we've picked our words carefully. We've made them personal using that self-reference effect. Now, how do we organize them? Method 1 seems straightforward. Flashcards.
Waltz.
Old school, but effective. But you're saying we combine this with method 2, the memory palace. Tell us about that.
Right, the memory palace, or sometimes called the method of loci. It's ancient but incredibly powerful because it taps into our spatial memory. Humans are really good at remembering places. So you take something abstract, like a word and its meaning, and you mentally place it somewhere in a real familiar space, like your bedroom, your office, your walk to work.
Okay, I get the basic idea, like associating things with locations. But how does that work with vocabulary flashcards specifically?
Hmm.
Do I need some elaborate mental castle?
Not at all. Keep it simple. Your actual room is perfect. And there are a couple of ways to do it. Option A is kind of the intuitive way. Link the word to something related. So if you're learning the word commute, maybe you tape that flashcard to, I don't know, your travel mug or hang it near your front door. Logical connection. Learning a word about finance, maybe stick it on your computer screen where you check your bank stuff.
Makes sense. Logical links. But the notes mention another option that sounds weirdly counterintuitive.
Ah, yes. Option B. This one can be surprisingly effective, placing the flashcard on something completely unrelated. So you're learning commute, but you take the card to your pillow or your bathroom mirror.
Wait, why would that work? Isn't that just confusing? Linking commute to a pillow seems totally random. Harder to remember, surely.
You'd think so, but often the randomness is the point. Logical connections can sometimes be a bit weak or obvious, but when something is truly bizarre, like seeing the word for your daily journey stuck onto your comfy bed, it makes your brain go, whoa, what's that doing there? That novelty, that slight emotional jolt of surprise, makes the memory really stand out. It becomes more memorable because it's weird. But here's the crucial part for either option. You have to actively visit this space, physically walk through it if you can, or at least mentally walk through it, maybe looking at photos or a list on your phone once or twice a day. You have to consciously review the words and their locations to really lock in that spatial link.
Okay, so daily visits to the palace, physical or mental. Got it. Now let's zoom in on the flashcard itself. What do you actually write on it? This feels like a huge deal, especially for people learning English from another language. Should it be the translation in your native language or an English explanation?
This gets right to the heart of why you're learning the word. What's the real goal? Is it just about recognizing the word tomorrow for a quiz? Or is it about actually using it confidently in a conversation a month from now? There was a really relevant study comparing these exact two approaches.
Okay, let's hear it. Because my gut feeling is most people just default to translation, right? It feels faster.
It often feels faster, yes. And the study confirmed that. Group 1 used translation. They actually managed to memorize more words initially. They did better on immediate recall tests, short-term win. But Group 2, they only wrote an English description or explanation on their cards. They learned fewer words up front. However, weeks later, they were the ones who could actually use the words correctly, in context, in conversation. Group 1 struggled with application.
Wow. Okay, so why does translation fail long-term, even if it helps with quick memorization?
Well, because languages aren't perfect mirrors of each other, are they? English word X almost never equals exactly the native language word Y. When you just learn the translation, you miss all the subtle stuff, the nuance, when it's appropriate to use it, the feeling or connotation it carries. Think about a simple word like run. If you just translate it as, move fast on foot, how do you understand run a business or run into trouble or my nose is running?
Ah, I see. The translation gives you maybe one slice of the meaning, but not the whole picture you need for actual fluency. You end up with a list of isolated labels, not usable tools.
Exactly. You're memorizing symbols, not internalizing how the language actually works. So the strong advice is always try to write a description or maybe a synonym or a simple explanation in English on your card. It forces your brain to process the word within English itself. It's harder work initially, but pays off massively for long-term use. And again, stick to that daily review. Visiting the memory palace, looking at your note, whatever it is, that daily touch point is absolutely key.
All right, so we're building a solid foundation. Now let's talk about making these words really permanent. This brings us to method 3, the 90-second rule. You call this a neuroscientific hack.
Yeah, it's based on how our brains actually form long-term memories. We know that encountering a word, say, 7 to 9 times, spaced out correctly, helps shift it from short-term working memory into something more permanent. And the sources gave a really specific schedule to hit that sweet spot efficiently. It uses spaced repetition and those crucial consolidation breaks.
Okay, walk us through that schedule. It sounds quite precise.
It is. Phase 1 is about gentle exposure. For the first 7 days, you take your small list of new words remember, just 3 to 5 a day. And you just read them out loud, maybe once or twice daily. It takes like 10 seconds total each time. So over the week, that's maybe, 70 seconds? Just getting familiar.
Okay, 7 days of quick out loud reading. Then what?
Then, and this is important, you take a 7-day break. Completely stop reviewing that list. That break lets your brain consolidate things passively in the background. It needs that downtime. After the week off, you come back to the list. This time, you read the words out loud again, maybe 3 times. aiming for about 10 seconds total. But you add some emotion. Say them angrily or happily or dramatically. Injecting that feeling helps solidify the memory trace.
Ah, emotion again, like the self-reference effect. Makes sense. Is that it?
Almost. One more break, this time a longer one, 2 weeks. Then you do one final review. Read them out loud 3 times in about 10 seconds, maybe with that emotion again. That whole cycle, initial exposure, break, emotional recall, longer break, final recall, gets you those crucial 7 to 9 encounters spaced perfectly for long-term encoding. You absolutely need some kind of tracker for this, though. A calendar, a simple checklist. Just tick off the day so you stay on schedule.
That sounds really doable, actually. Much less daunting than just staring at a list forever.
Ew.
Okay, now method 4. Making up stories or keeping a diary. This feels different, less about input, more about output.
Exactly. This is about actively using the words, moving from just recognizing them to actually producing them in sentences. It's especially good if you don't have someone to practice speaking with regularly. The person in the source material used this for learning both English and German.
Right, the idea was writing a daily diary entry, maybe just about your day, and deliberately weaving in, say, 5 to 10 of the new words you're currently working on.
Yes, write about what you did, how you felt, what you're planning,
Yeah.
anything personal. But the key is consciously trying to slot those new words into natural sounding sentences. And I loved the anecdote that they sometimes wrote it in the language they were learning specifically so their family couldn't read it. That adds another layer of personal motivation, maybe a bit of fun or secrecy, makes it feel less like homework, more like your own private linguistic playground.
4 really solid methods there. So what's the last one? Method 5. Post-it notes. This sounds almost too simple.
It is simple, but sometimes simple is exactly what you need. Think of Post-its as like a safety net. They're great for those couple of words that just refuse to stick, no matter how many times you review them with other methods, or maybe words you keep confusing with each other. The key isn't quantity, it's placement. You're not wallpapering your house. You pick those really stubborn words and you stick them somewhere you absolutely cannot avoid seeing every single day.
Like the bathroom mirror while you're brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
Or right on the coffee machine.
Exactly. Places tied into unavoidable daily routines. It creates constant, low-effort, passive exposure. Just another little nudge to help that word finally sink in.
Okay, so 5 great methods. Self-reference, selective writing, memory palace, the 90-second rule, storytelling, and post-its for the stragglers. But let's address the ambition problem again. Someone hearing this might think, okay, great, but I need to learn hundreds of words fast. You mentioned a final, crucial constraint.
Yes, and this comes back to that idea of cognitive load and space learning. Trying to learn, I don't know, 50 or 100 words in a single day, it just doesn't work for long-term retention. It's like trying to juggle too many balls, you'll drop almost all of them. Your short-term memory gets completely flooded. The realistic, effective maximum for deep learning seems to be around 3 to 5 new words a day.
Only 3 to 5. That sounds incredibly slow if you feel like you have a mouth to decline.
It sounds slow, but think about the quality of learning. If you focus on just 3 to 5 words, you actually have the mental bandwidth to apply the self-reference effect properly, to place them thoughtfully in your memory palace, to run them through that 90-second cycle. You're ensuring deep processing, not just shallow exposure.
So it's depth over breadth, thoroughness over volume.
Precisely. Stick to 3 to 5 words a day, consistently, and you're still learning well over 1,000 words a year. And crucially, these are words you'll actually be able to use. And the time commitment isn't huge either. We're talking maybe 5 to 10 minutes a day actively learning the new words. The review gets woven into your day, quick mental walks through the palace, writing that diary entry, glancing at Post-its. Consistency really beats cramming every single time when it comes to fluency. #tag outro.
Okay, this has been incredibly practical. We've really taken apart the process. The big takeaway seems to be moving away from just passively looking at lists. It's about getting active, making it personal with the self-reference effect, being smart about what you learn and where you learn it with the memory palace, using structured repetition like the 90-second rule, and actually producing the language through things like storytelling.
Absolutely. It's a shift from consumption to active integration. And maybe a final thought to leave you with, connecting back to that translation versus description study, really ask yourself what you're optimizing for. Sure, maybe translating helps you cram for a test tomorrow. That's a short-term win. But taking the time to understand the English definition, to use the word in a personal sentence, maybe put it in your memory palace, that's what ensures you can pull that word out confidently in a real conversation weeks, months, even years later. So take a look at how you're learning right now. Is it built for just passing, or is it built for genuine, lasting fluency? Something to think about.